Good morning, all. It is October the 9th, Thursday, October the 9th, and I'm on day, well, depends when you started. Like, I have had this week off work, and it's been really good for me to have this rest, but I acknowledge that there's this tiredness that's like, it feels like it's in my muscles and my nervous system, and it's energetic. It's not just I mean, I do feel as though having this rest has been beneficial, of course. I'm getting a pause and what have you, but I'm just simply noticing that I have some tea here. I've had it sitting here. Fogged up my reading glasses. So, as a neurodivergent, it can be tricky because sometimes we're there's so many things that our brains do, and you're like, should I write down some things? Should I make a video clip? Should I do a voice clip? Because if you don't do one of those things, you may well forget something, and you may have like a poignant, note or thought that you want to get fleshed out or just want to keep note of so that you don't lose it. So, yeah, I just I have a feeling that this week off is doing me some good, and I'm just gonna do my best to take it easy when I go back into work. I may not overload myself for a little while until I'm feeling a little more like recuperated, like I've got my strength back. But yeah, it is what it is, if we just keep pushing past where we're at. Does that make sense? Like, I'll when I go back to work, I'm going to do my normal stuff in some regards, but the things that need to be done, but I might not try to tack on extra tasks or things for a little while. I'm just going to have to kind of pare it down a little bit until I'm feeling better. And sometimes I can achieve more than I think I can. It's just a matter of being gentle and pacing myself in some way. And that's the thing, is right now I'm resting. Like, it's hard. Like, part of me is like, maybe I should give myself like 10 minutes or even, a half hour tops to think about what I'm going to do when I go back to work so I can just mentally prepare. But I'm also like, well, if I'm thinking about the future and the now, am I really resting? Am I really giving myself that pause that I'm needing? But I mean, yeah, I'm having all this time to rest, but when you're overloaded and or burnt out and it comes to a head like it has for me, you're kind of like hypomanic. You're in like a fight or flight, and it's almost like you're grieving, and you're prepared. Your body's like half prepared to like take off, because your body just feels like it's in some triggered parasympathetic state of a hyper arousal, and you're just, you know what I mean? It's almost like your body's potentially like locked in some regards. It's kind of more locked into like get ready to run if you need to. It's like that flight. So I pulled a card the other day and asked, when am I gonna feel like I've kind of gotten through this stage of feeling physiologically and energetically burnt out? Like, how long? Is there a timing card? And I looked into that, and I got a 4 of Cups, I think, which to me seems to indicate that it could be like 4 weeks. So, at least a month from the time I took my initial week off, which is this week. So maybe by November I'll start feeling a little bit more rested. But I also, the reading said alternatively it might be like that I'm going to need like as much as like 4 months. So it might be most of the winter that I'm just going to need to take it much slower than potentially I usually do. I usually try to get it all done. So I don't know. part of me feels like also it could be just like my nervous system is on overload. Everything that we're going through collectively, there's so much. There's so much. There's so many tangents I could go on. In so many regards, I feel that I am a way shower and a teacher, and I'm meant to speak to a lot of this stuff, and I do. But as far as putting a time limit, or not even a time limit, but like a time frame on when I'm going to speak about these things, or what, when or how, I don't necessarily think that's important. I don't know. It's funny, like when I first wake up in the morning, I feel so rested, and then when I get up and move around, it's like, oh, in some ways I'm rested, but it's almost just like, I think I'm purging grief. I just feel like I need to cry more, and I feel like it's collective, and I feel like there's just so much clearing and recalibration, and I think what I've read online and what I've seen in energy updates is just like we are in the midst of like a shift between one reality and another. And so while, a lot of's purging, we're kind of in this weird in between, like before the higher octave fully anchors, or not even necessarily fully anchors, but like that next stage of this higher octave, before it anchors more fully and solidly with us in it. We're kind of in an in-between where we were and where we're going, many of us. And so that feels as though we're in this weird limbo and floating around, or like, just, I don't know. I just thought of how it felt to be in one of those tanks where you're floating. Sensory deprivation tanks are kind of really cool in some regards. I think that's something that if you've never tried it, then it's worth trying out. I had a friend who gave me a gift certificate for it. I think it was either a gift certificate or they just like paid for me to go because they wanted me to experience it, and they were able to gift me that a few years back. And I tried it out and it was neat. But I will admit that by the end of it, after like floating in there for like 90 minutes or an hour or however long, I craved the feeling of air, like cool air on me. Like I felt like I missed the earth's gravity, or not even, I guess that makes sense. I just felt like the sensory deprivation, like I'm sure it would, I don't know. There's just a part of me that realized that I really, I value that feeling of being on the ground, feeling grounded to the earth, and I like the feeling of breezes and air. And I don't know if it's because of a past life thing, or if it's like just an innate thing with many people, like where they want to feel like a breeze on them, and if they don't, they feel kind of claustrophobic. Like I don't know if that's because like I was stuck somewhere with not a lot of ventilation, or not a lot of like airflow at one time in a past life, and then I died that way or something. I don't know. We can think of all these things, right? We can wonder. And so it's hard to say. And also it could be just like our body's innate survival instincts, like, oh, this doesn't feel safe because I want to feel airflow. I feel more grounded and soothed by like airflow and all that. I don't know. Something I'm really wanting to do today is just meditate. I really don't meditate that often, if I'm completely honest. I just want to be with stillness and kind of get into that space, and then just kind of open my heart and state some intentions, but also just open up to just be in that space and know that I'm okay as I am. Know that I'm doing my best that I can for now. State what it is I desire, but also ask that, whatever the divine will is ultimately will be done, and that I would be bolstered and supported and given strength and some measure of endurance. And honestly, there's times where we just can't. We can't be strong. We can't. I think I've had to be a warrior. I've had to be so strong. I've had to carry so much. I've had to, it's like checklists and fucking, we try so hard to do all the things, to take the best care of ourselves as we can, because, and this is something I wanted to touch on, we try so hard to take the best care of ourselves, to make all the right choices, and to do all the healthy things to support ourselves, because we are hoping that will bring the outcome we desire. We're hoping to control reality in some regard. We're hoping to steer the narrative or the outcome of what happens, and we don't have control. We only have control over how we respond to what's going on, and there's so much happening right now. This is a wild time to be on this planet. If you're struggling, you're not alone. And it's okay. The best thing I think we can do is to admit it and to feel through it as best we can. Have grace and patience with ourselves. And if you can't push, you can't push. And I mean, I'm sure in some ways we will push on and move forward, but if you're really just having a time where you really are needing to be mush, be a puddle, if you're at that point where you're like, I don't have it to give right now, I don't, be like, my 100% is like me at like 40% of my normal power. Or my 100% for today is like me operating at like 60%, 70%, whatever the percentage, like that's your full steam in those times. Our worth is not measured by our productivity or even the measure of like how well we do something. Not even. There's so many factors. There's so much going on. And I think we need to be willing to let go of that perception that we can control it, or that desire to control it, and even give it to God. Give it to the divine. Let them steer. We can be the master of our ship in some regards, but sometimes we need to like give the wheel, give the reins to God, and recognize like all we can do it sometimes is just kind of ride the waves and to do our best to like manage, to deal, to get through it. We're healing. Many of us are healing from generational trauma. We're integrating a lot. We're processing a lot. We're being asked to, and to slow down. Yeah, this isn't what I thought my adulthood would be. This isn't what I thought my 30s would look like. This isn't what I thought. You know, I think a lot of millennials feel that. I don't know, crestfallen, bewildered, disappointment. Like is the word disillusion? Like we were fed narratives, or I don't know, we just thought that things were going to be a certain way, and then when we grow up we're like, oh oh this is what we're going to do here. Anyway, oh God, I guess get as clear as you can on what it is you need and where your soul's trajectory is, but recognize it doesn't all have to happen all at once. And if it's meant for you, it'll come about, and you can take little steps over a period of time. And sometimes we take jumps. Sometimes we have to take leaps. We have to take calculated risks, but things have their own divine timing. And if we can give it over to God and trust, I think we've learned to do it all ourselves. We've learned to manage and to not ask for help, to be tough it out, to just deal, or deal by repressing, or deal by like crying it out on our own and journaling about it, pouting it out ourselves, whatever it is. Like, we found ways to deal, right? Talk to your friends about it, journal about it, cry about it, do artwork about it, you know. Sometimes you talk to loved ones, but that's not always the answer. Grieve what you didn't have, but have gratitude for what you did and all you learned and who it's made you. We're all works in progress, each and every one of us. I understand us to be going through an astronomical we're going through an ascension cycle. We're going through a process where it's like we're in the midst of ascension, but it's like just the very beginning, or we're even like potentially pre-ascension, however you want to look at it. I've heard separate accounts, and I think both might be accurate from their own perspective or POV. But the earth is changing her frequency. She's chosen to ascend to the next phase of her evolution. The poles are shifting, whether that's part of it or not. It's debatable. It could be a natural thing that needs to happen because of the fact that things are shifting, her frequency's shifting. But it also could be because of man-made agendas and or intentions to try to halt the ascension process, the earth's shifting. And even if man-made stuff is tampering with things, that doesn't mean it's going to stop the ascension or it's going to prevent the process. So there's a lot at play. Like, the fact is, it's almost like when you look at the Matrix movie, you're like, do you want to know the truth or not? Like, my soul says, yeah, I'm here to know the truth, and I'm like, what is it? Down to ride. Yeah, like my soul's chosen that, but my body, my human, is like, what the fuck? But I guess I'm strong enough or I wouldn't be here. The old-fashioned term, testing our mettle. What do we got in us? Like, what's our capacity to hold and to deal with all this? It's all getting tested right now, for sure. Patience, grace, compassion. There's times where we need to stand up for ourselves and speak out against injustice and advocate for ourselves and put up healthy boundaries. And then there's other times where we really don't have control over other people's behavior. And depending on the circumstances, we might just have to deal with things that are outside of our control and outside of what's okay with us. But we have to just understand where other people are coming from. And that doesn't mean we're okay with it, but we have to kind of like develop thicker skin or ignore it. The Bible says that Jesus always advocated, pardon me, I didn't realize this would be a weird thing to show on tape. Sorry about that. I have a nose and I've been teary-eyed, so noses run. I wish I'd thought to turn the camera away before showing you wiping my nose, but hey, keeping it real. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm going to post this or not. We're all incredible. We're all doing so well. If only we could see. There's a space beyond time. When we get out of our bodies, when we leave this life, we rejoin we rejoin that, all that is, and we're held. There's a part of me that just wants to tap out and go float around in that for a while, but I also know that my soul isn't one to like the sensory deprivation tank, the float tanks. I don't like not being in a body, so we're fickle beings. My deepest hopes and desires is to find a way to hold myself and support myself, but also open to receiving connection, support, help. embrace new opportunities, embrace growth, and embrace change. Be willing to little by little when I feel brave enough to do it, and or when I'm feeling ready and when I choose it, to step out of beyond my comfort zone boundaries and to let go of any fucks about what others think, believe, when it's really rigid and or dogmatic or opinionated was what came to mind, because some people are very opinionated, and I guess, to be fair, I'm one of them, but some people are so opinionated, but they're so inflexible and so rigid and unyielding. I think we need to allow other people with different perspectives and different beliefs and different points of view, and recognize that we all hold these things, and some of us are some of us are uneducated, some of us are just uninformed, some of us have been deeply conditioned, and so everything we've been through shapes how we view things and gives us a filter through which we see everything that happens. So some of it is not what we're getting or what we're perceiving isn't exactly always what's happening. And then there's groupthink. There's a lot of brainwashing and mind control. Certain groups and or individuals and beings are intent on trying to prevent the organic spiritual evolution of consciousness and are becoming and stepping into the next phase for us as humans, reclaiming our divine original human blueprint, or stepping into that more fully, or we were meant to be we're these divine angelic humans, and we have there's a divine call from God. God says it's time for us to ascend and move forward in this journey. And there's so many forces in the external that have been, it's just so wild. It's like if you've ever watched any like Star Wars and Star Trek and Sliders and Stargate SG-1, I swear to you, life is like a big mix of all of those. If you know, you know. Think I'm crazy if that's where you're coming from too. Again, if you know, you know. Wow, The Matrix, all of the films, all of it. I'm grateful to know what I know. And I do have faith in the divine. I do have faith in the unfoldment. I do have faith in what I've felt tangibly. I've had these experiences. I almost knocked my plant over. I picked up my tea and I bumped it. Sorry, Jade. I don't like to let my tea sit too long. Oh, I didn't expect for me to do a 30-minute video, but here we are at 23:30. Give me a minute, I'm going to wipe my nose. Ooh. Hot tea and or warm tea, and getting emotional about discussing topics makes the nose run. So yeah, my arm is a little tired. I need to get a tripod, but even then I'd have to hold the tripod up. Well, if it's a handheld tripod, yes. If it's one of those stand-up-y ones, that'd be pretty dope. Hey, I'm open to it. There's so much coming up. Next year, there's a concert, the tour. BTS is going back on tour, and you know what? Part of me really would love to go, and I said I would, and I meant it when I said it. I might even charge tickets so that I can go if I'm able to obtain them. And I think it would be a dream come true, but I also don't particularly want to be in debt. So yeah, paying a credit card bill for a little while again wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it depends on how much everything costs. It might be worth it to go, but I think the tour is going to be announced, or it's going to be going on between May and December. Something like that. I have a freaking family trip in July that year. I think I'm going to be responsible for the tickets to go to that, to pay for that. So yeah, if I want to go to a BTS concert, I either need to try to save money between now and then, if I can. And other than that, see if there's any ways I can begin to bring in income for my artwork through readings or offering people some of the services I offer when I can. I'll welcome like maybe donations. I have like PayPal. I have Cash App and Venmo. I'm pretty sure I have all those. I have the Buy Me a Coffee app. I'm on Substack, and I'm gonna, as that grows, I'm gonna, to be fair, I think it doesn't matter. Like even if you don't have it like a paid tier on there, I think people can donate. They can become a paid subscriber if they want to. I'm open to that. So yeah, we're all just where we're at. I'm gonna do my best to break through any, blocks I've had and or still hold, let go of any barriers or resistance, any walls I've built around myself to keep myself safe, which may well have been keeping me in a bubble. In some ways, I do need to protect myself because I am highly sensitive, but I think the more I face what I've needed to face that's maybe been repressed and integrate parts of myself that were repressed or denied or I didn't even know were there by doing my inner work, active imagination, shadow work, the more we integrate and work through this stuff, the more whole we can be, the more fully ourselves and more embodied, and the less we're going to be afraid of life. And the more I dismantle any, thing I put into place, real or imagined, that I intended to keep myself safe, or just like my patterns and like my comfort zones. Like a lot of it's like self constructed and self-designed. It's like it's something I put into place. But yeah, it's like, okay, well, where am I at now, and what part of those things do I still need, and what am I shedding, what can I shed, and what do I need to let go of so that I can be as fully me and fully here as possible. Yeah, and the more we work through that stuff and integrate, yeah, we're just going to be more of our full self. Yeah, and the more we let down those walls and those barriers, and we open up to things, we expand our comfort zone, and the more we do breath work and meditate and do yoga and cry it out, whatever it is we need to do, like whatever it is that comes up when it comes up, working through stuff, the more I think we're gonna, I don't know, show up in our bodies, hopefully where we're at, and able to deal with things a little more easily. Yeah. Depending on which astrological system you follow, whether tropical or sidereal. I follow sidereal now, and I encourage you to look into it if you haven't. In my Western tropical chart, I have Mercury in Virgo. So ruled by Mercury in Virgo. So yeah, and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and it's also the ruler of Gemini. In my sidereal chart, I have my Venus in Gemini. And so my Mercury, I think, is in Leo in sidereal. So either way, if you know, like with the Venus and Gemini, like the way I am and interrelating with others is that I want to talk and share. And so if your Mercury's in Virgo, you might like over explain or like get into that pattern. And then with my Venus and Gemini, we are talkers. We are idea people, deep thinkers, deep healers, and have very active minds, both ruled by Mercury. So that's why I just love it. It just tickles me. Some people don't care, and or for some people it's just a lot, and they just don't have the space or the wherewithal or the they don't have it in them to explore astrology more. And you know what? If it's for you, it's for you. Or if you feel like curious and want to know more about it so that you can know yourself a little better, When you're ready to explore it more, you'll know. It's always there, a tool to use, a system of which to look at things and to understand ourselves better so that we can know where our soul trajectory is. So, knowing your sun, moon, rising, your midheaven, your Venus and Mars, those are the key things, and your North Node. Those are the key placements. The more you've learned about it and you get into it, the more you can learn about the different houses and what those represent. And that fills it out a little more, fills in the blanks, gives them more depth and or insight. Yeah, there's lots of videos online about it, lots of books, and we can intuitively, if we so are inclined, can tune into those energies of the planets themselves, of the signs themselves. We can kind of do some feeling into it intuitively and journal about it, or, get a little clearer about those energies and how those are playing out in our lives or what those mean to us. There's so many ways to work with it. So yeah, I'm grateful that over the past year or so, I've specifically this year, but I'd say like last fall, so it's almost been a year now. Whoa. And so it was probably the past year I've really opened up more creatively and like stepped into like my love for art. Not that I ever didn't love it, but I think I guess I delved into it more, or I just entered into this phase of self-exploration creatively, like reclaiming the artist in me, or just truly an exploration and self-discovery and play, just delving into what feels good and what feels like play creatively. And it's been really beautiful, and I've been surprised that sometimes when I'm just doing some new technique that's art, like using new tools to make art and to just play, like how fun and healing it is just to do it. And then afterwards, oftentimes, maybe not every time, but a lot of the time, when I do something and I'm just playing and enjoying it, like I find messages, like I'm getting messages from my subconscious or from like my higher self or whatever it is. The universe is sending me messages through my artwork. It's just funny because I do intuitive paintings for people where I read their energy and I give them I write down and I draw them and paint. Well, I paint the symbols. They're intuitive painting readings. So I draw and paint what I get and do an interpretation of the reading for the person. Oh, speaking of which, I have a friend I need to do a painting for her. Shit, that was supposed to be a birthday present and I didn't do it. So I'm gonna try to do that soon. Hopefully before the end of this month, if possible. If not, it might end up being a Christmas present instead of a birthday present, which I'm sure she'd be okay with, honestly. She's so cool about it, all that sort of thing. Woo. Wipe my nose again, just had it itch. So yeah, oh god, physiologically, my body and energetically, it's just like weird how your energy, your nervous system, your hormones, it's all tied together. Your emotion, like all of it. And I think we need to realize that the healing process, it's worthwhile, it's necessary, it's needed. We deserve to feel good and healthy, but we also need to just be okay with being wherever we're at. Not trying to fix it, not trying to change it, not trying to be better, or because we only have so much control over life. And just the show I watched yesterday just made me realize, just do the best you can with what you've got, Another nose itch. Itchy nose. It's autumn, and fall allergies sometimes bother me, so that could be part of it as well. So I watched a K-drama called Mr. Plankton, and he had the main character had a brain disorder, or like, I don't know if it's like blood vessel issues, or if it was like little tumors in his brain. Everything was kind of all a mess in there, and he got to be his or I think early 30s, and then started having issues. And that issue, the health stuff started cropping up, and they're like, you have maybe 3 to 6 months to live. I think it ended up only being 3, which is wild. But anyway, by the end, it's just realizing and holding dear what you have, like appreciating what you have, having gratitude for it, holding it, loving what you love and embracing it and being grateful for all of that. Live your life to the fullest. Try not to be so hard on yourself. We're literally going through what I understand to be the most difficult phase of human history. We've been through a lot collectively. We've been through it. And in other planets, other galaxies and universes, we've all been through a lot. We've been, I think, everywhere probably in the cosmos, and we've had past lives and experiences. This is how I interpret it. And so we're these amalgamations of like past life stuff, generational trauma, and everything we've been through as souls. And so here we are, like in this new phase of this upturn of the, evolutionary spiral. We're moving up a rung, and it's going to be hard. And there's forces that are trying to halt it and or stop it, and they're going to do what they can to try to do that. And so that's going to make things more difficult, but they can't prevent the ascension. They can't prevent us from awakening. They can slow it. They can try to halt it. They can make it as uncomfortable, and they can do as much as they can to try to make this lower timeline reality play out the way they want. It depends on which way you want to look at it. Like, they're going to fail and this lower timeline reality is going to implode on itself. But there's their higher timeline, and as long as you're in alignment with that higher timeline, you needn't worry about the worst outcomes and things coming to be, because they're going to be foiled. It's just gonna get cleared up and bypassed. We're gonna, Apocalypse has multiple meanings: to uncover, to reveal. So many things that have been swept under the rug, hidden, repressed collectively, and lies, manipulations, deceit, abuses of power, gross abuses of power, genocide, all this stuff. Whew, it's crazy pants. A lot of people aren't going to live through these times. A lot of people are going to, because of health things that have been put upon us, there's been so much to basically throw wrenches in the plan of the divine, and to try to slow things, and to try to, there are negative beings and groups that suck the life out of people, that do negative magic and abuse and, literally evil stuff to attempt to control things and to manipulate things and to sacrifice people to do negative magic. And it's just, we've got a lot we're up against, but at the same time, the divine and love and this process can't, the light and the love, you can't, I'm jumping around, all these things come to mind and I want to say it all at once. Love always wins. Love, the light always will overpower the dark. It may take time for this all to come together, but I hope that you find this message encouraging. I can't make it feel true for you if you don't agree, or if you have skepticism. That's where you're at. That is what it is. But I hope if any part of you resonates with what I'm sharing and what I'm saying, that you find this encouraging. Yeah, we're really in this shit right now. As I understand us to be in the Aquarian age now. The United States just went through its first Pluto return. So a lot of those Plutonian shadow aspect, dark stuff, a lot of this, we're just going through this hell of a freaking growth spurt, and everything that's not working, unsustainable, toxic, unconscious, not okay, dark stuff that's been hidden, it's all going to come out. Sidereal astrology and true sky astrology. If you look at a sky map, you'll be able to see what planets are in which constellations. A sky map will show you that the planet Pluto, or the dwarf planet, if you will, Pluto, is still squarely in the sign of Capricorn. And it will be, according to sidereal astrology, which uses the natural sky, which matches the sky maps that show the natural sky, what's actually taking place right now, shows that that's going to be, Pluto will still squarely be in Capricorn until about 2041. And that's when it will enter. The stuff will have moved. We will have transitioned and entered into the stars, and things will move by that point. And Pluto will have entered the stars, the star sign of Aquarius by 2041. So this doesn't line up with tropical astrology. They're off a bit, as you can see. We can use all of the systems and learn something from them, but if it's not aligned with the natural sky and what's actually taking place, then we're getting misinformation or only part of the picture, and distortions. And the distortions are limiting our consciousness, limiting our potential and like what we can grow into if we're all aligned with the system that was intent on keeping us unaware of the fact that, you know, there are actually 13 zodiac signs. The 13th sign is like the sacred divine feminine sign that has to do with transformation, alchemy, healing, and being able to embrace both light and dark, and holding both, and to like heal and transmute. Such powerful symbolism. And then its connection with the divine feminine and 13 cycles of the year. There's 13 moons, 13. There used to be 13 months. The Gregorian calendar was all messed up intentionally. They said they had their reasons, but there was more going on, and it was intent on changing narratives to fit this conditioning and this brainwashing and these ways of being, these systems, these closed-looped systems that would keep us limited and in this bubble, and unable to really grow beyond it, at least not easily. So I'm really grateful that over the years of looking into this information, like different forms of astrology and sitting with it and what have you, like I've come to find what I feel to be true and what I know to be true with regards to it, and that there were intentions by the church and political leaders and others with vested interest in keeping us limited from expansion and from healing and from alchemy and from the connection to the divine. The gender confusion, the so many things have been put into play for decades and honestly centuries and even thousands and millions of years. There's been so many different things. Yep. My homework for you guys, or my suggestion to you guys, is if you have any spiritual bones in your body, or you're even open to it, and if you haven't already done so, maybe give it a try and just say, okay, God, if you exist, if you've not done this already, or if you do have a belief in God, but maybe not the religious God, or if you're doubting what you were brought up, or what you were brought up to believe, or if you feel like there could be more, but you have your doubts, whatever the case is, you're not certain, you're agnostic, whatever, say a prayer with willingness to see. Like, it's kind of like an experiment. Be like, hey, but really do it with an open heart and mind, because you need to be honest about it. You need to be open. Just be like, God, if you're real, show me what my divine purpose is. Show me signs and give me guidance to show me where to go. And because, yeah, just be like, I have a doubt. I have my doubts, but I want to have clarity. Show me some signs, give me some guidance and or answers to these prayers of me wanting to know what's true and what's real, and what am I here to do and accomplish in this lifetime? How can I feel fulfilled and sail through the currents of life, ride the waves and enjoy as much as possible, but also, make peace with everything, and to know what it is I'm here to do. Just say these prayers. That's what I did. I prayed that God would show me truth beyond what I had been taught in the past, I had some new experiences and insights, and I just had some doubts as well. And so from where I was in the past, new experiences in the future, and I was like, you know what? Not the future, but my present at the time. So I was like, God, show me what the truth is beyond, what systems of belief I had been brought up in, because I want to know the definitive truth. I don't want to know what groups of people believe. I don't want to know what, what people want me to believe, what those systems of belief and those beings who created them. I don't want to be stuck in that, Anyway, I'm rambling more than I meant to, but I just knew that my ego mind was only going to get me more of the same of what I've experienced. And I got to the point where I was like, yeah, no, I need to know what God would have me do and move forward and have them steer. Have Mother, Father, God steer, because I just knew that I couldn't do it on my own steam. Anything from my ego and from my mind was just going to have really poor results, or I was going to keep repeating things, or I was going to be lost and not getting it. I just knew I needed to pray and to go where I was led. If you're willing to open your heart and your mind in your life to see what's true, if you're wanting to experience something supernatural, you're wanting to experience, something metaphysical or spiritual, you're wanting to have a little more, like a palpable experience to know what it is, what's up, If you want to know, the only person limiting you is you and your comfort zones and your willingness to be open to the truth. Because sometimes the truth is beyond what we were taught. And if we're meant to know it and we open to that, we'd be like, God, show me what my path is. Show me what my purposes are here. So show me what my soul's intentions are, but ultimately show me your divine will for my life, the purposes for my incarnating. Show me what I'm meant to do and align my will to yours, because divine will is always going to take into account our passions, our strengths, our gifts, what brings us joy, because those are the things that we have planted into our heart and soul because they're a part of who we're here to be. And so if we can trust that the divine will is linked with that, then we can know that whatever divine has for us, the divine will is going to align us with that best and highest outcome. That's what I've come to understand or believe. So take it or leave it. But just say, God, show me my path, show me my purpose, and I will follow. If you give me signs and guidance, direct me in clear ways that I can understand, show me the way. Show me what's truth. Show me what's next for me and what I'm here to do. I want, however you want to word it. I've said it a few times in ways that I thought were perfect, and then I kept going, and then I'm like, okay, that's too much. Whichever feels right to you. I just was like, God, personally, I said, I wanted to know what truth was beyond what I had been taught. I wanted to know what God's will was for my life. And I wanted to be happy and to do what God had in mind, because I just knew that was going to be far better than what I could come up with on my own. And I learned about meditation not long after that, and I got messages from my higher self and from, from angels and what have you. Like I connected with the divine more closely, with spiritual realities more closely after this than I ever had in my life. I just went back to school. Like I was guided to go back to school. So like some of the first things I just you follow what you feel, like what's something coming up in your mind. Like, I think I really want to go do this now. Or I think you just got to follow where you feel led and know that that's part of your lessons. And you may see number signs. You may get all these things, recurring imagery, ideas, songs, any of this might start popping up. online, in your travels. You may just start seeing certain numbers or images or ideas popping up everywhere, and that's your guides or your higher self or God, life, showing you what's for you, giving you signs along the way, giving you encouragement. We are deeply held and loved. And this human earth experiment is no joke. And in many regards, it wasn't meant to get to where it's gotten to. There have been many things that have effed things up. The original intentions for humanity has been tampered with. Our own DNA has been tampered with. Our own, and that's why, Earth is choosing, hey, either you need to ascend and be good people and love one another and choose to recognize the divinity in all and choose love and compassion and all these things. Like that Gaia herself is a soul, is a being. She's living life as a planet right now, but she has a consciousness and she's choosing ascension. And so those that are very like anti-God or anti-life or very negative or hurting other people, they're going to be not allowed to be on this planet anymore. They're going to be kicked off the planet, or things are going to happen and they're going to be forced to have those beliefs challenged, or they're going to be kicked off the planet, And so maybe in their next lifetime, these people will realize, oh, I was, not helping. But that was obviously something that their soul chose. There's always going to be light and dark. And some people, what they incarnate to experience is not to awaken and to grow and to heal everything in that one lifetime, but they have certain experiences. And then if their life comes to an end and they, if they weren't able to like overcome certain hurdles or learn certain things, they're able to see it more in hindsight. And sometimes they're able to grow and evolve more on the spirit side than they were able to accomplish whilst they were still in the human body. And they're able to support their family members and do more from the spirit side for all those still on earth living out their lives than they were able to do for their families when they were still in human bodies. So yeah, I'm rambling and just talking about what I've come to learn and or what I believe, and some people may find it interesting and encouraging, and other people might think I'm just prattling on and that it's silly, and yeah, wherever you're at, that's fine. I certainly didn't mean to talk for almost an hour. It's been 52 minutes. Probably gonna wrap it up, but yeah, just have an open heart to life. Ask that Mother, Father, God, the universe would align you with your North Star, whatever that is, for life, for God to show you, your higher self to show you, what's my North Star? What's my soul's intentions for this lifetime? What am I here to learn and to grow into? What's going to bring me fulfillment at a soul level? What's going to make me feel the most happy and fulfilled and at peace? And often, if you're a creative, it's going to be to create and to express yourself authentically and openly. And if you're meant to do something else, it's going to be when you're applying yourself and when you're putting yourself out there and you're doing those things that you have those gifts, that knowledge, that skill or talent in. Some people are here just to have families and to love one another. Some are here to heal a lot from generational stuff from the past. Some are here for a multitude of things. Some are way showers, leaders of the spiritual, this process of ascension we're underway. There's some that are going to be spiritual leaders and way showers, pointing the way, showing how it can be done. Not that any one person knows exactly what's to come, has a map, or like we're all in this right now and none of us knows the exact outcome. I think some of us are intuitive and we have seen glimpses and or felt glimpses, and we have a knowing in some regards as to what certain things are playing out. We're seeing the themes and we're able to read the energies and kind of have a knowing of what's going on in some regards, but very few, if any, know exactly what's going to play out. But it's a matter of trusting what you know intuitively, developing your intuition if you haven't already, literally every human being on this planet has the ability to tap into their creative gifts and to develop their psychic gifts. It's not just something some people are, oh, that person's psychic, that's crazy, I could never do that. No, we all have the ability to tap into it. It's just a matter of, is it going to be, it may be much more difficult for some people, especially depending on what conditioning they have and what their beliefs are, and where they're at on their life journey, like what their purpose is. Some people are just never gonna, that's never gonna occur to them. It's never gonna come up for them in a lifetime. But it's possible for all of us to develop our intuitive gifts. So, yeah, I encourage you all to do the inner question asking and to pray to the universe, to God, to ask for direction if you haven't, to be shown the way. Because you will be. If you get out of your own way and you're willing to ask God. I'm a little scared to ask this. This is what I've asked before. I'm a little scared to ask this because I don't think I'm going to I potentially may not like the answer. And that's uncomfortable, but I want to know the truth. Show me the truth even if I'm scared. And oftentimes within a few days, weeks at the most, usually within 3 days of a serious prayer like that, I get my answer. So, yeah, that's my recommendation. There's so much we can do. Psychology, nature, art, philosophy, history. Yeah, connection with others. There's anthropology, sociology. There's so many different things out there that are just remarkable. Music, cooking, caregiving. There's so many. Again, depends on who you are, what's your archetypes, what what is it you're called to do, who are you naturally, and what do you enjoy doing, and what are your gifts. If you're willing to seek, you will find. If you're willing to get out of your own way. I can't promise that it's going to happen quickly or be easy, but it's always worth it. So I encourage you to look within and ask these big questions if you haven't. I encourage people to learn about meditation, and there's many books out there to develop your intuition if you are interested in those, such as Trust Your Vibes by Sonia Choquette. Also, there's a book called Discovering Your Psychic Type by, I think her name was Sherry Dillard. There's another one, You Do Know, by Becky Walsh, for people who are a little more scientifically minded, but still want to know about intuition and how to develop it. You may like that one by Becky. So many books out there. You're wanting to know some of the ancient history that's been hidden from people, like human origins, Earth's origins, and things that have been honestly hidden largely from the populace. The benevolent ETs and the negative ETs, like which ones are which, and like what's happened and what's been hidden from us. The 2 books I recommend for that are The Voyagers Part 1 and Part 2 by Ashayana Dean. I don't follow her newer material because I've learned that she later became a bit hijacked by negative beings who were intent on suppressing her and manipulating her so that she wouldn't be able to be as much of a light or way shower. So I respect her very much, but I don't follow her newer material just because I know I've heard some tales about some things she's done that clearly she was just in a bad way and being used by negative forces and or spirits or things at one time or another. I also encourage people to look into like Dolores Cannon, The 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. One of the first books I ever read was The Lightworker's Way by Doreen Virtue. Just like Ashayana Dean got kind of hijacked, that's what I feel happened with Doreen Virtue. She was such a light worker and she was like a doctor in like psychology and spirituality, like an angel. She worked with angels and all this stuff, but she had this thing happen where she was frightened and felt like Jesus was judging her, and like this all of a sudden this fear came over her and she felt like she'd been doing wrong, and she like just recanted all of this, like she just was like, nope, none of what I was telling before was right and it's all wrong, I don't believe in that anymore. To me, that's somebody who felt judged and or guilted into it or conditioned into it, into renouncing everything she had believed and stood for. I think she was manipulated or hijacked by fear and by negative beings that were like, yeah, she's been too big of a bright light. Let's halt that. Let's stop that. She's still a beautiful soul, but yeah, I'm saddened by that, because she was one of the brightest lights, and her Light Worker's Way book was my introductory book to the metaphysical and everything else. So anyway, we live in a magical world. We're far more powerful than we've been led to believe. We're more powerful when we're united together as a human family. When we allow ourselves to plug into community and find our soul family and connect with that. To be open-hearted and compassionate and understanding where everyone's coming from as best as we can. There's a war machine and negative agendas that are intent to harm and to keep people in survival mode and to further negative agendas, but none of them are going to pan out quite in the way that they're intended, but they're onwardly happening. I think the more that people realize that the line between sci-fi and reality is much thinner than they've been led to believe, and actually a lot of things that have been coined as sci-fi are actually science fact. Yeah. Truth is what's the phrase? Truth is stranger than fiction. So yeah, this is a nice talk. Be kind to yourself, be compassionate with yourself. Speak your truth, dance your dance, do whatever it is you feel called to do. You're here to live and to be. And it would be a tragedy to be and to not fully get out there and enjoy it as best you can. Break down those walls that are holding you back, self-imposed and otherwise. Let yourself be helped. We're not here to do it all ourselves. We simply cannot. Visualize and envision what it is you desire, but also intend that whatever God's will is for your life will be, because ultimately that's going to be the best outcome for all, because it's the highest and best good. God wants the highest and best good for all. So for you to be like, but I want X, Y, or Z, well, maybe you could have X, Y, or Z, but it may not make you happy, because if it was from your ego or to fulfill some lack or void or wound, or you know what I mean, then it's never going to fully fulfill. It's only going to be one of those things where you're just going to keep wanting more and more. Anything that is not from the eternal is only going to fulfill you temporarily. It's only going to scratch the itch temporarily. And that doesn't mean we can't enjoy the things of the world that are enjoyable, pleasurable, and fun. I think, live life to the fullest, but be in the world, but be not of it, is my best advice. So yeah. Yep. One final word on astrology. When you know what your North Node is, you'll have an understanding of what your soul's intentions are for this lifetime, what your soul mission and intention is, what you're meant to grow into and move, like what energies you're meant to align with and to help you grow and evolve as a soul, what lessons you're meant to learn, what your trajectory as a soul is, and what you're moving away from. Your South Node is what you've experienced in past lives, or what you've come to Earth with naturally, but what you're moving away from because you don't need to visit that anymore. It's already been done. It's already old energy. It's something you can use to get to where you need to go, but it's not the point. It's not the target. The target is the North Node. So the more anyone even with a remote interest in astrology, I encourage you to find out what your North Node is. I strongly encourage you to check out sidereal systems of astrology, specifically True Sidereal. It uses all 13 signs of the zodiac. I also encourage you, for any that are open to it, to look into galactic astrology, because that is a form of sidereal astrology, but it shows a more galactic and starseed type perspective. It'll give you insights as to where you've been in the cosmos. Your placements will show you like what star systems you've lived in and what energies are present in your chart. It's pretty neat. So the galactic astrology, I encourage that. True sidereal, there's some that's called like True Sky. It's more or less the same thing as True Sidereal. So yeah, there've been a lot of intentional distortions with the Gregorian calendar, with astrology, changing it from a 13 sign system to a 12, basically blotting it out, mopping it out, like the whole organized religion blotted out a lot of truth and wisdom and esoteric teachings, blotted it out and created a religion and told people that this is the way to do it. But there was a lot of distortion and a lot of not loving, not godly ways of going about it. Lots of has been done in the name of God. Holy wars, genocide, even colonization in many regards, has been very hurtful to many types of peoples. And so we can't ignore that these things happened and that, So anyway, if you let me, I'll just end up keeping rambling. But I encourage you all to take good care of yourself, unplug from technology as much as necessary, plug into nature, into community around you. If you're creative, to dabble, to play, create. Don't forget to get into the body, whether it's exercising, going on a hike, going for a run, doing yoga, whatever exercise makes you feel good, do it up. I encourage breath work. Breath work there's breathing exercises you can do that will help you stimulate your vagus nerve to help you overcome trauma, complex trauma, any type of trauma. It's going to help your body recalibrate and kind of to deal with pressures of life a little more easily and to disarmor your body. And that's also what yoga is really great for, and massage therapy. Acupuncture can be great, though I have not yet had acupuncture. I'm looking forward to trying that out at some point. Healing crystals are wonderful. Lots of really neat modalities out there and systems of thought. There's truth in pretty much every ideology and system of thought. Just know there's a lot of glass ceilings and a lot of things that are intent on keeping people limited and looking at things through like a tunnel vision when there's much bigger scope. Find out where your truth is, your soul's truth. Ask Mother, Father, God, the divine, the universe to show you what's true for you and to bring it to you in ways that you can understand. I encourage you to learn meditation, because that's when you can start receiving information from your higher self and connect with your soul self and quiet the mind and connect with the divine directly. Because in a book of the Bible, and in a gospel that was left out of the Bible, the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." We're able to connect directly with the divine, but through quieting the mind and just having that stillness and going in within the heart and opening energetically and consciously to connect with the moment and with love and with God, and just quieting the mind and being present with that. That is, that's why meditation has been in Buddhism and yoga so sacred. It's not only like, oh, this is good for my mind, help stress and anxiety subside. Yoga isn't just a good, healthy exercise to keep your body limber and to keep you calm and ease anxiety. These are actually spiritual systems to connect with your soul and with God and with life in a healthier way. Yoga is literally a spiritual system. So yeah. And there's another scripture I like to relate. It's, I think, in the New Testament of the Bible. It's from the book of John, and it says, "This you shall do and more," or "This ye shall do and more." And it's referring to, Jesus was talking to their disciples, and he was saying, everything I've done, all these miracles, miracles that I'm doing, this you shall do and more. He was speaking to his disciples and to the people that follow his truth, to follow the heart of God, the heart of Christ, the Christ consciousness that he embodied, that he lived, that he was. That consciousness, that awareness is the returning Christ that's coming back to humanity. That's the Christ's return, not a man that's already been dead thousands of years coming down from the sky as some apparition, or him floating down like he's back in the physical somehow, resurrected. He's gone beyond, but his consciousness is what's returning to humanity. A lot of things in religious texts have been interpreted more literally, when a lot of times they're meant symbolically or they're meant metaphorically. And a lot of things in the Bible I understand to be written in code, or written in such a way that unless you're at that level of awareness and understanding, vibration, to be a match to the message and understand where it's coming from, you may miss it. A lot of the apostles in the Bible were like, Master, what do you mean? Teacher, what are you getting at? Because even they struggled to understand a lot of the times. He tried his best to teach it and to embody it. Some of them got some of it, some of them missed the interpretations, but anyway, he was a wonderful way shower that I have such unconditional love for and respect for. But beings with that consciousness came before him. The Buddha. Yep. I resonate deeply with Kuan Yin as she's a bodhisattva of compassion, but I believe she may well embody the feminine Christ. So did Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. There's been many beings that have embodied Christ consciousness, that heart-centered purity, that space, that energy, that consciousness. So this you shall do and more. We are all sons and daughters of God. We are all literally God consciousness, living as human beings in human form temporarily. Jesus was God and man. We are that. When I first learned this, I thought it was crazy to think, and I thought, is this blasphemous? Is this wrong? No. I also had this aha moment, like, holy shit, it's real, it's true. The more you meditate, the more you read spiritual texts, and the more you learn about this stuff, there's a reason people say namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you and acknowledges it. This you shall do and more. God is within all of us, in all things. God is love. That's in all of us, in all things. So anyway, we all have to find our own truth and to navigate life on our, we all have to figure it out for ourselves. Yeah, but the way it will be shown, we have the capacity. We're capable. A lot of people have been brilliant way showers and have done so much brilliant work to outline their spiritual experiences and knowings, but we can all come to understand it for ourselves in our own way. There are many purposes for being here. Some people will not awaken in this lifetime, and some people will, and some are going to be called to be leaders and to bring forth that truth and that information in the way that they feel called to do. And sometimes it's a little scary, a little unnerving, a little like, I don't know if I can do this, but nonetheless, if you're called to do it, there's your call. There's your sign. There it is. So trust your callings, trust your intuition, learn to develop it if you feel called. There are many books out there like the ones I mentioned. Seek and you shall find. Know yourself. That's why I recommend psychology. I recommend Jungian psychology especially. The book Owning Your Own Shadow. And then the book, do I have it on my bookshelf here? Owning Your Own Shadow is one of them, but the other one was about inner work. There's many. Robert A. Johnson did Owning Your Own Shadow, and then there's one about called Inner Work, about working with your dreams and using active imagination. It's so funny, when I first got that book, I didn't know. I couldn't fully understand what it was getting at. I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was something to build a dream interpretation, and if it had to do with Carl Jung, I was all about it. But when I first got it and read through it, a little bit of it, I was like, this kind of feels like gibberish. I'm not ready. I don't get it. And so I put it on my bookshelf, and 2-3 years later, I'm like, oh, I get this now. I had more context. I'd learned more. I'd grown more. My consciousness level had raised, and I was then able to apply it. So this too may be the case for you. Or not. We all have our journeys, and I wish you all the best on yours. We're here. Breathe. Love yourself. I encourage you all to do the inner work. Recognize the underlying patterns and reasons for your behaviors, the wounds. Love yourself. Reparent yourself. Creators create. Lovers love. Doers do. And we're here also just to be. surrendering to the unfoldment with trust in the divine. We're being called to trust for sure. So embrace what you do know to be true. Embrace love, embrace kindness, have grace for yourself. Plug into nature, into the divine, and to stillness whenever you can. Unplug and develop discernment as much as possible, because there's so many things that are intent on keeping us misled, misinformed, conditioned, and lied to. So develop that inner radar, develop your intuition, develop discernment, and then you can know for yourself when something is and isn't true, is or isn't aligned with truth. And yes, in some ways truth is subjective, but there are universal truths. There are universal truths, universal laws too. So anyway, I wish you all the best. Happy October. Take care of yourselves. I see you if you're struggling. If you'd like to share anything you're going through with me in the comments below, please do. If you liked this, give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed to my channel. I'm not a short-winded, short-form content girly. I'm a deep thinker. My nervous system and my brain have a little bit of a slower processing speed. So if you like my pacing, if you like the content I'm sharing, and if it touches something in you and you want to connect, I'm here, looking to connect with other soul family and to develop community and to just share that love. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the autumn. It's my favorite season. Take care. Slow down. I'll just keep talking if you let me. Anywho, blessings to all of you. Bye for now.